Alright, hello friends and subscribers on the Richter's Reviews. I generally do a lot of movie reviews or 5 movies in my collection. Well, this is going to be a little bit longer video. This is not in any particular order. This is not in any particular top. It's 20 films, and they're all from the 80s. So this is just 20 80s films that everybody should at least have them in collection, whether it be on DVD, VHS, or Blu-ray. So first off, and these are in alphabetical order, but not in top 20 order. First off is Adventures in Babysitting. Adventures in Babysitting came out in 1987, and it's still one of my favorite 80s films. Elizabeth Shue, Keith Coogan. You got a guy named Thor in the movie. I know that this is available on Blu-ray, but I'm so happy to have the DVD. That one of the things that I find funny about about DVDs when they have these little pull tabs cases, which can be a little annoying, but doesn't really bother me much. But I do have the insert, and the disc is really in good condition. This is a great film. It's always been fun to watch this movie, and I love the beginning credits where they play that song, and he missed me, or he kissed me, or then he kissed me. Yeah. Here's another 80s. I think it was 87. Another 1987 film. This one stars Whoopi Goldberg in Burglar. This was a fun film. Hilarious. Got some great comedic parts. Whoopi Goldberg being Whoopi Goldberg, her earlier films. And this, I got this for like $2 at FYE. But also has Bobcat Goldthwait in this movie. That's a fun film. And then we have the 1988 Cynthia Rothrock, China O'Brien. Yeah, this has actually made 2 movies of this. The second one still has not been released here in the United States on DVD. But I would love to see this come out on Blu-ray with a box set with both China O'Briens. So yeah, it's China O'Brien. It's a classic film. Got great action in it. And then we got a 1989 film that got released in 1990. It's Far Out Man, starring Tommy Chong, which also has his daughter Rae Dawn Chong, his wife Shelby Chong. It's got Martin Mull, C. Thomas Howell. Has a small cameo by Cheech Marin in it. A bunch of other comedians in the film. Yeah, this is a fun film. It's not as good as the other Cheech and Chong films, but it's great. Got some great hilarious moments in it. Some outrageous stuff in it too. This is a movie I saw in the drive-in in 1990. That's Fast Food, directed by Michael Simpson, who directed Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. This has the late Jim Varney, the late Kevin McCarthy, and Tracy Lords. Basically, it's just a bunch of college kids who go into the fast food business using an aphrodisiac sauce and makes everybody get horny. But it's a great film. It's got some other people from some of the Sleepaway Camp films in that movie. The next one here is Funny Farm. Funny Farm is a great film. Funny, hilarious film. Chevy Chase, him and his wife, Madeline Smith, go into the middle of nowhere and buy a house. And they start a family and get some outrageous antics throughout the film. I know this is available on Blu-ray too, so maybe one day I'll upgrade to that. And we have another classic 1980s film. We have Harry and the Hendersons. This is a special edition of Harry and the Hendersons. Got some special features on all. This is available on Blu-ray. That's pretty much the inside. It was really cool seeing this in a white case. I was kind of surprised when I got this that it was a white case. This is one of my favorites from the 80s. I've enjoyed this over the years. It's great drama. It's got hilarious moments in it. And it's definitely worth anybody buying. Definitely, every one of these movies is definitely every 80s fan should have these in their collection. Iron Eagle with Louis Gossett Jr. and Jason Dedrick. What can I say? It's a great film. Went on to do 3 more films after this, which, Louis Gossett Jr. was the only person that stayed and played in all 4 films. Got a little insert in there. If this is not on Blu-ray, I definitely think it should. They should put this in like a 4-pack. Then we have the sequel to Iron Eagle, which came out in 1988. Jason Dedrick character dies in like the first 5 minutes. Spoiler alert if anybody hasn't seen Iron Eagles, but it was really cool to get this at a FYE for a pretty fairly cheap price. It's not as good as the first one, but it is pretty good. It's got some great stunts and character development and stuff like that. I mean, I enjoy the Iron Eagle films, and the second one is the second favorite of the series. Now, somebody had pointed out to me recently, messaging me on Facebook saying, do you have this movie? Well, yes, I do. This is Just One of the Guys. One of my favorite guilty pleasures, I would say, of the 80s. You know, a girl who wants to get into photography, and she has to be a boy to do so. But you know, it's a fun film. Great characters in the film. Great scenes. Definitely the scene where Terry tears her shirt open and he finds out that she's a girl and he's supposed to be a guy. So great 80s classic film. Now, speaking of another 80s guilty pleasure, A Last American Virgin, one of my favorite 80s films. The soundtrack on this film is like crazy good. I mean, it's got tons of great music in it. The scenes in the film are classic. But yeah, Last American Virgin is a great film. I can't say too much. I can't say more than anybody hasn't said. I definitely would like to upgrade this to Blu-ray, and I do plan on doing that as soon as possible, because this is like a flipper disc where you can watch it on full screen or widescreen, and widescreen is my preferable method of watching films. But Last American Virgin, great film, great soundtrack. Very young Lawrence Monoson, Steve Anton, the great 80s queen, Diane Franklin. So we're getting close down to the end here, so hopefully I can get this done in less than 10 minutes. Like Father, Like Son, starring Dudley Moore and Kirk Cameron, which was one of the first movies that came out in the 80s where they tried to switch bodies around. They did another one in the 80s called the 88 film Vice Versa, and I believe there was a couple other ones. There was one called 18 Again, had George Burns in it. But yeah, that was kind of like a switcheroo kind of genre that happened in the 80s. This is a great film. Also stars from the Goonies, Sean Astin. That's one of my favorites. I try to watch this at least once or twice a year. Another great 80s film is Stallone and Over the Top. I mean, Lincoln Hawk is probably one of my favorite characters that he played. Right next to John Rambo and Rocky Balboa. Even though this was a one-shot film, it was a great time in the 80s. You know, it had arm wrestling and big truckers. You know, I really enjoy this film. I remember seeing this in the film with my dad, and it was awesome. I still today enjoy this film. I love the soundtrack of this film. Yeah, it's hokey, it's cheesy, but I love this film. I just can't get enough of watching this film, and it's one of my favorites. Next is no collection can be complete without Spaceballs. Now, I know there's tons of different versions of this out, but I'm happy to have what I've got. Spaceballs is a hilarious, fun, slapstick, all kinds of craziness in this film. You've got all kinds of actors. You got Mel Brooks, the late John Candy, Bill Pullman, Daphne Nzinga, Michael Winslow, Rick Moranis. There's others in this film. You got a small appearance by Rhonda Shear. I mean, it's a crazy, fun film, and one of my favorite Mel Brooks films. for them not to make a sequel to this really surprised me. But they did do an animated show of Spaceballs probably about 5 years ago. Now this, I have one of these films in a separate, by itself, single release. But this is totally awesome 80s double feature, Teen Witch and Heavenly Kid. The main reason I bought this is for Heavenly Kid. I got this for $3 at a pawn shop, and Heavenly Kid works very well. The Teen Witch copy of this is pretty bad. I do have a Teen Witch on DVD by itself that's in great condition, but I basically bought this for the Heavenly Kid. And that Heavenly Kid is a classic 80s film. Got some great sound, great music in that movie as well. Teen Witch, nothing. I can't say more than anything. That all I know is that after watching Teen Witch in 1990, I have a very affectionate and crush on Robin Lively still to this day because of this film. Even though I had seen her prior in Karate Kid 3. But that was the film that led me into having a crush after 29 years still to this day. Heavenly Kid, another movie with Jason Dedrick and Lewis Smith. It's got a great cast, and it's a fun film as well. So we got like 4 more left here, but now this is a double feature again. This is Teen Wolf and Teen Wolf 2. Now I know this recently just came out on Blu-ray, and I would like to upgrade that to that one eventually. But I'm happy to have the Teen Wolf collection in my Teen Wolf films in my collection. I like Teen Wolf 1 more than I like the second one. They both have great soundtracks, music in the film. I just felt that after seeing Michael J. Fox as a wolf, and then going to see the sequel of Jason Bateman as a wolf, it is what it is, and I'm both happy to have them in my collection, though. Now, these last two are films that not a lot of people talk about, but they definitely should. And this is Thrashin' with Josh Brolin. He had just got off working on the movie Goonies, and he got into playing this film. And Thrashin' is a great film. It also stars Robert Russell for Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and the late Pamela Gidley, who recently passed away this year. But Thrashin' has got some special features on this, and I believe this is out on Blu-ray, which I wouldn't mind upgrading too. But I love this skateboarding film. It also has just about every skateboarding legend is in this film, even a very young Tony Hawk. It also has a small appearance by the Red Hot Chili Peppers before they became famous. So that's Thrashin'. Now, the last movie on this list is probably the least talked about film of the 80s. I don't hear a lot of people talk about this film in today's society. Back then, it was like huge. And that's the 1982 movie Zapped, starring Scott Baio and Willie Ames. This is a great 80s film. It's definitely has a young Heather Thomas. Whoever don't know who Heather Thomas is, she played in The Fall Guy. Was a bodacious babe in the cast in this movie. Felice Shater, who played on Facts of Life. But I really, really enjoyed this movie, Zapped. It's basically where this guy Barney, played by Scott Baio, who gets like a power to where he can lift girls' dresses up or make things move with his telekinesis powers, which is a really crazy idea in itself, but it was a great film for the 80s. I remember seeing it with my late grandfather back in 1982 when it came out, and I was about 6 years old when I saw it. I remember always my mom, when my mom would take me to see my grandpa and let me stay there, she'd always say, "Don't go taking him to see R-rated films." When I was 6 years old and I saw boobies. So, but it's after the great film, and I recommend it in anybody's collection. So, if anybody likes this video, give it a thumbs up and leave comments below. And I definitely hope that we can do this again. This is just pretty much just the 80s collection of films that I enjoy, and should be in everybody's collection. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.